I don't know what the heat index is where you guys are, but lately we have just been wanting all of the cold stuff because it is so hot. My husband and I have actually been walking together in the mornings, and even at like 6:30 a.m., it is just oppressive. We're gonna make some really good options for cold dinners. These are absolutely delicious. Everybody's gonna love them, but they're just really refreshing at this time of year. If you're not regularly using chickpeas in your house, you are missing out. We're gonna make a Greek chickpea salad, which I love, so delicious. I'm gonna mix it all in a clear bowl so that you guys can see how beautiful it is when it all comes together. So we are gonna start by taking these garbanzo beans, chickpeas. We're going to drain and rinse these. Originally, I was only gonna use 1 can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas, but I think I'm actually gonna use 2. I think that having this for a couple of days, maybe even for lunch options, delicious. Now, chickpeas have a decent amount of protein in them, which is great because you're getting protein in a meatless dinner. But if you want to add more, grab a rotisserie chicken, because how easy would it be to just shred up some chicken and throw this in there as well? Shrimp would be another thing that would be delicious in this. Obviously, you'll have to cook it unless you buy pre-cooked shrimp. I'm gonna chop up some red bell pepper and some green bell pepper. You may also want to add yellow. I think I'm just gonna do half. We'll see what it looks like once I get this chopped up, but I think I'm gonna do half. So we're just cutting this into diced size, not petite diced, but diced. That's not a very good explanation, but I don't have a good explanation for the size. About the size of the chickpea, that's a better explanation. Y'all, it is blazing hot here right now. Okay, so all the cold things, I will take them. What are you guys doing to stay cool right now? Do you swim? Is there other things that you can give other people advice to in the comments? Because man, y'all, it is hot. Our dog loves being outside. I mean, loves it. And we're home all day long, so she could easily be inside all day long with us, but she loves the outdoors. And even she has not wanted to be outside a whole lot lately. And I even feel bad for her. Like I'll let her out because she really wants to be out there. And then 15 or 20 minutes later, I'm wanting her to come back in because I'm afraid she's gonna overheat. Let's do the same thing with a green bell pepper. And again, I'm probably gonna use half, but we'll see what half looks like. So in my video last week, I did some crock pot meals which are perfect for this time of year. I mean, y'all know crock pot meals are perfect for any time of year, but especially when you just don't want to heat up your kitchen, you can get a lot of use out of your crock pot. And several of you commented and said it was just too hot to eat hot meals, so you've been eating cold meals recently, and I definitely get that. If you would like some crock pot ideas, definitely check out that video. I will have it linked in the cards and in the description box. It's my most recent video to this one. And there are lots of really good options if you're looking for something to have a good hearty meal, but you don't want to turn your oven on or your stove or even your microwave at that rate. This is such a great lunch option too, because you could make this several days in advance, prep it all, and then it will be ready to go, because it's the dressing we're gonna put on here, it's just gonna marinate in that and get better with time. Okay, I have some cherry tomatoes here, and I'm just gonna do about a handful. I've already washed these from the garden, but I'm gonna wash them again really quick. We're just gonna quarter these tomatoes and then throw them into the Greek chickpea salad. Another thing that I love about this one, it is extremely colorful. And you guys know, how many times have I said it? I love color. I want to see all the color. It just makes a huge difference in food. All right, I'm gonna add these Kalamata olives. They're already halved, so I'm not even gonna chop them up. I'm not worried about it. If you want to, absolutely feel free to chop them up, but about a 1/3 cup or so we'll toss in here. We love Kalamata olives, so a 1/3 cup to us is more like 3/4 of a cup. And I am going to add some cucumber. This is one of those recipes where I would say if you want to follow exact measurements, feel free to do that. But I would say if you love a ton of cucumber, then add a ton of cucumber. If you love a lot of feta cheese, add that. I mean, this is one of those where the ratios to me, I mean, you guys know the ratios to me rarely matter anyway, but definitely with one like this. I went ahead and did this because I haven't been able to get to Sam's Club lately. It's kind of far from our house. So anyway, I have this, ooh, the brine water. Let me just pour a little bit of that out. Okay, so I did the feta in the brine just for convenience. And I'm gonna pick up another thing of feta when we go to Sam's because it is so much cheaper at Sam's Club. I mean, like crazy cheaper at Sam's. I'm only gonna use half of this. This is 8 ounces. So I'm gonna use 4 and just crumble that into here. The Greekness of it is perfect with feta, but you could do a Parmesan. Let's see, what else could you do? You could technically do a goat cheese. It's not gonna crumble quite as well, but I do think a Parmesan actually could be really good with this. You could skip the cheese altogether. Let's mix this together. And I'm just gonna do a quick toss because we are gonna add a dressing to this. So I wanna make sure that I toss this in the dressing as well. Look at these colors. Look how beautiful these colors are. This is what I love to see. You can mix your dressing directly into the bowl here. That's totally fine. I have this dressing container. Well, I have several dressing containers, but I'm just gonna mix it in here so that I can get a really good mix and then we'll pour over the salad. This is avocado oil. I think I'm gonna double it. Let's do 4 tablespoons. Let's add 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. A couple, oh my goodness, what is happening? Let's add a couple of minced garlic cloves. I'm gonna say roughly 2. And with these Greek flavors, you cannot skip oregano. So about 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. If you have fresh, feel free to use that too. Okay, good mix. Oh, salt and pepper, hello. Pinch of salt, feel free to also add pepper. This dressing is so simple. We make this so often because I can throw together this dressing in, I mean, you guys saw 3 minutes. So easy to make. Now, toss. So delicious. And like I said, add in some more protein if you want to with that chicken or shrimp. I really think shrimp, like little baby shrimp, would be really good in this. Some purple onion would actually be really beautiful in here too. Now let's just give this a taste and then I'm gonna serve it up. Let me get all the flavors. You guys, I love this. These flavors are so perfect. This is so good for lunches. This is so good if it is super hot outside. Oh my goodness, you have to try this one. It is so fresh. Oh, I love it. One thing I never regret having, whether it is hot or cold outside, is a meat and cheese board for dinner. I love just being able to kind of snack on it. We always have plates so you can pull things off, but there's just something about a charcuterie board, and there are so many different ways that you can make it. And many times, I don't even have to order things in a grocery order specific to it. It's stuff that we already have around the house. The first thing that we're going to make is marinated goat cheese. Now we're gonna make these a little bit more fun just to change up the texture and the size and the shapes that are gonna be going on this board. I have a small bowl here and we are gonna add some oil, about a 1/3 cup or so. It doesn't have to be exact, but you wanna add some of that into here. And then I have this poultry blend of herbs. It's got rosemary, sage, it's got some thyme, several different things. You can use whichever kind of herbs you like. This is really just acting as a marinade. I'm really focusing on the thyme and the rosemary because those are my favorite. And you guys know, I love these herb scissors. It makes it really convenient and easy to cut all of these herbs and put them in there. Now for the thyme, you can pretty much just tear the leaves off, and if you tear them backwards on the stem, they'll come right off of the stem. There's not really a measurement for these. I'm just adding as much as I feel like we love. I personally like to add a little bit of salt. It's probably a half teaspoon, maybe even less. And then we've been using these sun-dried tomatoes that come in the bag. They're not in oil or anything, but they're already julienned, which is really also very convenient. And I'm cutting these with my herb scissors. Now, these scissors came with a nice little scraper tool that gets in between all the blades, which is nice because especially if you're using something like sun-dried tomatoes, they're gonna get caught in there. And then I'm gonna use those same scissors to cut up these Kalamata olives into this marinade that we've got going on. If you don't like sun-dried tomatoes and Kalamata olives, don't add them. You can add just herbs and that's completely fine. I just love the flavors that these add. So I like to add as much as we possibly can whenever we make something like this. Now, we have 4 ounces of goat cheese. Feel free to do more, but I'm gonna have some other cheeses on this board as well. And you can just take the marinade that you made, put the goat cheese in a bowl and pour that marinade over the top. But we're gonna make it a little bit more fun. And I am going to make little goat cheese balls that are gonna go into the marinade and they're just gonna sit in there. And whenever you make these, you have to be kind of careful when you're rolling. You have to more like press and roll. It's the same concept as when I made the energy balls in my back to school lunches video, which if you haven't seen that video, I highly suggest it. It is not just lunches for kids. All of them are perfect for adults. In fact, I have eaten them several times myself. Now, one thing that's unique about this is you really don't want to mix these with a spoon. I just like to transfer back and forth between 2 bowls and it makes sure to get that marinade all mixed in. And then we're just gonna let this sit in the refrigerator for several hours and that marinade really work with that goat cheese. Okay, let's prepare our burrata. So I got this burrata cheese. Now this is something I did specifically order. We don't always have burrata on hand, but I love burrata cheese. It's like a mozzarella, but it's soft on the inside. It's so unique. Always gonna come in this sort of brine. I think there are 2 in here actually. And it would be a tragedy, yes, there are 2, to lose the burrata. I'm looking for a more shallow bowl. I don't think I have one. It's okay, it's not a big deal. It's just me thinking about what it looks like. We'll take the burrata out carefully. And I'm going to just place it right here. We'll start with one. I might end up using both. Now I've got some fresh cherry tomatoes that we picked from the garden, but one thing that is so beautiful is if you buy the tomatoes that are all different colors, the ones that you guys have seen me buy, the gourmet medley that we've used so many times. You just need about a handful of tomatoes. Let me give these a wash. Okay. Now where's my oil? What in the world? There's no oil here. I never put it up there. Let's drizzle with a little bit of, this is avocado oil. And I don't have any black pepper, we just have white pepper, but I am going to just put a little bit of oregano on the top of this, just a touch, okay? Just like that, very, very simple. Now I'm gonna cut these tomatoes in half, place them all around. I really wish I had a more shallow bowl. I don't, it'll be all right though, but it would look really pretty. It might actually be easier to eat if you had a more shallow bowl, but it's okay. Imagine those purple tomatoes in here though. So beautiful. All right, a little bit more oil. Another pinch of salt, mostly for the tomatoes. And that is done, so that's prepped. All right, the next thing on here needs no container, but if you want to put it in a container, obviously you can. We're going to take some feta. I mean, it'll be easier to clean your board if you do put it on some sort of plate. I'm gonna move the burrata. It's okay, it'll be all right. But I think it'll look better on a more shallow dish. That's what I was going for. It does, perfect, perfect. Now we can take I have feta, it's just a chunk of feta, okay? I'm gonna put it on this plate here. Ooh, I wish we had a different color plate since it's all white. I'm just gonna drizzle in honey. You can also add pepper. You can add pistachios or pine nuts or something to this, and that'll be delicious too. We have our goat cheese. Let me just back this up a bit. I'm going to transfer the goat cheese to a more shallow dish because this is quite a large bowl. And this is gonna go onto the board as well. Obviously, you can see that we are, the theme here starts with cheese. So now that we have our cheeses, we can start to build everything else. And I definitely want some meats on this board, so I'm gonna add pepperoni. You can add as much or as little. You can add, you know, whatever kind of meats that you like. And I like to have it all around in different places. So we'll add some pepperoni. Let's go here. I've got some more prosciutto, so we're gonna add that onto the board as well. Now on a board like this, I wanna give it some depth. I'll wrap it around itself, or I will cut it into pieces or something like that just to give it a little bit more depth. I've seen it where people get so creative with this kind of stuff where they'll turn it into like rose shapes and stuff. Now I'm not that good. Now, if you're building this and you're gonna eat it right away, the next thing I would suggest is adding crackers. If you're gonna put this in the refrigerator, I would suggest adding crackers right before you serve, which is how we're gonna do it. Sometimes crackers, if they sit in the refrigerator, they can get stale, and I wanna avoid that. Every single cheese on this is delicious with nectarines or peaches. For the sake of having a little bit of green on the board, I'm gonna add a little bit of sliced cucumber, which actually is really good with these, with the marinated goat cheese. So we'll have that available. You can also add pickles. I think I have some little baby dill pickles. Maybe we'll add a few of those too. Fruit is something that we pretty much always have in our house in abundance. So I just pull fruit out of the refrigerator and start to add it to the board. I've already got these cut strawberries, so we can just add those in. Grapes, I have grapes in the fridge. I'll pull those out too and add them. Also, if you're not full by the time you're done assembling a charcuterie board, you're doing it wrong, because all the little leftover pieces. At this point, I feel really good about what we have on here. So this is gonna go in my refrigerator just for a couple of hours until we're ready to eat dinner. I'll add the crackers in some of the bare spaces, and that's it. It's ready to go, ready to serve. I didn't realize that I never pressed record on my camera, but I just put the crackers on here, so we're ready to serve. So I made our board nice and full. So I'm just gonna give each one a little taste for you. Obviously, you guys probably know how fruit tastes, so I don't think I need to taste that, but we've got the feta with the honey. That's a really good combination. I'm gonna try the burrata. Burrata is so good. You cannot go wrong. Okay, we've got the marinated goat cheese. I love goat cheese, and the Greek flavor here is over the top. So good. You can't go wrong with one of these boards. There's something for everybody. It's cold, didn't have to turn on my oven. Obviously, there are some things here that I did that are a little bit extra, but you can really just do meats, cheeses, and fruits, and you're good to go. It's such an easy dinner option. Just gonna go ahead and apologize for the really excessive noise of my dishwasher right now. You guys have probably heard of antipasto, but we are going to make an antipasto salad. Sounds amazing. These are all of my favorites. I love all these flavors. I'm starting with some romaine lettuce. We're going to chop it up, and we're going to use my salad spinner, make sure that it's nice and clean. Also, you guys have been requesting that I show you how I make the copycat Olive Garden dressing, and I'm gonna show you that in this video. We have some prosciutto. I thought this was a resealable package. All right, we're just gonna use a couple pieces because I actually need prosciutto for another recipe as well. So I'm gonna use half for this one and then half for the other recipe. Also, that's kind of a tip. If you want to save as far as groceries go, a lot of times I'll look at recipes that have common ingredients, and that's kind of what we're having that week, because then I can use it multiple times for a few different recipes. Let's cut this into strips. I'm gonna not use the fatty part there. Just cut it into strips. Maybe cut these in half a little. And we'll end up tossing these in. You guys know, if you've been here for a while, that we genuinely love prosciutto. The flavor, it adds so much flavor to things. So although it's not cheap, if you can find a couple of things to add it to, it takes recipes over the top. I wanna say that package was $6-ish. Oh man, I'm just gonna tear these. That's a lot easier. So part of the reason that I make it small pieces of prosciutto is that if there are large pieces in there, we'll all fight over it. So when we go to make our salad bowls, everybody will reach for the huge pieces of prosciutto. Just do like a little mix, getting that in there a bit. Okay, now we're going to add some pepperoni. You could use salami or pepperoni. I usually will opt for pepperoni because I can use it for this recipe, but then also my son can use it to make little pizzas for his lunches. So he'll take a piece of naan bread and put some pepperoni on it and some cheese and put that in our little oven, air fryer, toaster oven thing, and then make some little pizzas out of it. Okay, so I'm gonna take the pepperonis and just go all over. And I do like to try and get some underneath too, just for some depth and dimension. Right before we serve this, we'll mix it all together. But I do think that it looks pretty if you just have it, you know, kind of all through, even before serving. So it's not just all sitting on the top. Y'all know, I'm always thinking about how it looks, how food is appealing to the eye. Now for pepperoni, I didn't measure anything. That package is 6 ounces. I'm maybe using 2 ounces of pepperoni, but obviously a lot of that just depends on the number of people that you're trying to feed with this salad. I like a salad like this though because it's packed full of protein and flavors that we love. Now, this is a little bit of a cheater version here. I actually have fresh Parmesan, but I want to use this up before I shred up that other Parmesan. And this one is what is that, grated? So I'm just gonna add a little bit here. I love artichoke hearts. Now you can just leave them quartered like this and put them in the salad if you want. I am gonna chop them up a little bit just so that we can have several bites of this all throughout. I'm gonna go ahead and use the rest of this jar. So we used some of this the other night in a dinner. This was a 12-ounce jar, so I used half of it today and half of it for another meal. So again, this is one of those things where I'm saying, when I'm researching recipes and trying to figure out what we're gonna eat together as a family, I'll often do that. Okay, I had a recipe that required artichoke hearts, so I'm gonna try and find another recipe that requires artichoke hearts so that I can buy one container and it works for 2 meals. Okay, we're just going to do a rough chop of these. Okay, I've got these organic pitted green olives. So we are going to add some of these, and you can add them whole. I actually might add a few whole because I think they look pretty, but for the most part, I'm gonna cut them at least in half. You can also add black olives. I actually thought that I had black olives, but I don't. I have Kalamata olives, so I didn't think that one through. But black olives are really pretty in this. I'm also going to cut up a few of these pepperoncini, just a couple. You can add them whole to the salad if you want as well. Let's add just a little bit more of this cheese on the top, just a bit. Clean this up, and then we're gonna make what you guys have all been asking for. You guys aren't even gonna believe how easy this dressing is to put together. I have this dressing container, but I also have several others. You can mix it in a bowl. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of oil here into this. I'm not even measuring, this is completely by sight. Feel free to double, triple, add whatever amount you want. I've seen all different recipes that call for different ingredients and different amounts. This is how we like it, so feel free to make it however you want. But I'm taking some mayo, and I usually add about 2 tablespoons. I personally like to add just a touch of stone ground mustard. We need about 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. And y'all, this dressing, seriously, it's ingredients I always have on hand at our house. Like, I never measure when I make this. It's just kind of dump everything in, and we always have this stuff. I add just a touch of lemon juice, so maybe a teaspoon and a half. You can also add sugar. I never add sugar to mine though. I'm sure it would change the flavor just a little bit and make it more of a copycat version, because I do think theirs has a hint of sugar or even honey. I just never add it, and I think that it's just unnecessary, truly. We are adding basil, parsley, and oregano, but you could also just do an Italian seasoning, Italian mix. Maybe a half teaspoon of each. I'm adding about a half teaspoon of garlic powder and about a half teaspoon of onion powder, just because we have it and it was convenient. I do like to add a touch of salt, and one ingredient that is definitely optional, sometimes I add it and sometimes I don't, is grated Parmesan, but you do not have to add it. And also I've added it to the salad already, so I probably won't add it. This is all the amount that I need, but obviously feel free to make as much as you want. If I'm gonna eat a salad, this is exactly the kind of salad I wanna eat. These flavors pop, guys. The prosciutto, the pepperoni, the artichoke, so good. All those really bold flavors in a salad make it not boring at all. It is so good. That homemade dressing, if you're not making your dressing homemade, you're missing out. So delicious. Our verse today comes from Romans 8:6. For to set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the spirit is life and peace. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you need more inspiration for dinners where you don't have to turn your oven on, check out this video right here that I posted last week. It's all crockpot recipes, no oven, no microwave, no air fryer. They're hearty, they're delicious. You're going to love them. I hope you're having a great week.